$200, a Super Nintendo setup costs twice as much as the old system. For the money, the company promises better pictures, sound, and adventure. Now you're playing with power, superpower. You're the king, I tell you! The king!
Only for Super NES. You're listening to the SNES broadcast with your hosts, Soulblazer and George.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Super NES Podcast, episode number 110. I'm Greg. He is George.
I'm a pink little bunny rabbit.
Yeah, which seems out of place. Like out of place for a Tetris game, doesn't it?
No.
We're doing George's pick this time around by picking a Tetris game that was Japan only for some reason. We're covering Tetris Battle Gaiden, which came out for as I just mentioned, in Japan only, the day before Christmas 1993. Developed and published by Bulletproof Software. Bulletproof Software has a very interesting history.
Yes.
Do you know anything about this company, George?
Yes, I know somewhat about it.
Yes. Well, they are intimately involved in the torrid history of Tetris and how Tetris came to be, and there's licensing issues, that kind of stuff. And really, for anybody out there who doesn't know, the history of Tetris and the licensing battles and struggles that went through is fascinating material. It definitely is a very interesting read or watch, your preference may be. I highly recommend. There's several very good articles and YouTube videos out there talking about this. I definitely recommend checking one of them out if you want the history on it. But to make a long story short, Tetris originally developed by most people know, by a Russian guy in the mid 80s, and eventually the Soviet government, because of course the Soviets had ownership of anything that was privately developed during that time period. When the Soviets started licensing the game overseas, there was a whole mess about which company thought they had the rights to this and that and other ports, and Nintendo swooping in the last minute to get the rights for Game Boy and blah blah and that kind of stuff. So, Bulletproof Software obtained the rights to publish the game in various countries of the world. Mostly obtained the Japanese console rights to Tetris, and some other countries too, but Japan was the most important one.
I actually have that Famicom version of Tetris.
Yeah, it's very good. I've always preferred the Tengen NES version of Tetris over the Nintendo one, because I just think it was like better developed.
Isn't there like a few versions of Tetris on the NES?
There's two official versions.
Right. And then there's like an unlicensed one.
Yes.
Mm.
And that version, Tengen Tetris, is not as rare as people think it is.
Right.
The price has stabilized in more recent years to a more reasonable level, but for a while, complete copies of that game was selling for hundreds of dollars. Which is a little bit obscene.
Thank you, scalpers.
But anyway, Bulletproof Software for a long time had the publishing rights to Tetris in Japan. They still do to some extent. The rights to Tetris have now reverted back to the original developer of the game and his company, which is just simply called the Tetris Company.
Yes.
But Bulletproof Software is still involved with publishing of it in some territories. Bulletproof Software was formed in 1996. The company is now known as Blue Planet Software. They changed their name in 2014 for reasons unknown. So at least
I feel like that's a worse name.
Yeah, I don't know why they changed the name. Maybe they had, they came under like new ownership. Maybe that's why. But
maybe I don't know.
I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find anything online explaining exactly why they did. But anyway, that's the.
Let me call it Mr. Bulletproof, and we'll figure that out.
But yeah, Tetris. Do I really need to talk about Tetris very much? Tetris is like one of the most. It is actually the most popular video game in history, according to a list of one of the lists I was looking at like earlier. the original version of the game and all of its versions is sold something like 160 million copies worldwide. So, the game is insanely popular. They even show to this day, and the Japanese were particularly enamored with the game. There were several Japanese-only Tetris versions of the game over there, and this version is like one of them.
Yes.
Which
doesn't make sense because I definitely feel like this is something that would probably sell pretty well in North American audiences,
I'm
or
guessing
in Europe as well.
I'm guessing because like I just alluded to, the Tetris rights for many years were broken up between different companies, different territories, and Bulletproof didn't want to license the game to other companies to market overseas. Yeah, I had to make a guess.
But they were like, I don't know, because there's other Tetris games that were released over here. I don't know.
Yes, yeah. So
I don't know.
Maybe they felt the game was just too different for us Westerners. Because like this
maybe they
game
thought it was too difficult.
Well, I mean,
I'll let you know it's definitely difficult when you're fighting against the AI, and it's on easy.
Yes. This game has one-player mode, but the game really shines two-player mode. This one of those games that really designed.
Oh yes.
This one of those games. This one of those games that really designed one of those games that's really designed to play two-player mode.
This is like a really good drinking game. Where
this would be difficult. It's difficult.
Take a drink after you lose a set.
Right. Well, you get drunk pretty fast then at that point.
Well, I would at least. You were really rocking me.
For a while, the power-ups definitely can influence the battle. We will talk about here in a moment.
Yes.
For those of you who have not played this game, which are probably most of you out there, because this is a pretty obscure game.
For us, it is. I don't think it is in Japan.
Well, let me take a look here real quick.
I think it's decently popular over there now.
If you're willing to import, the price of the game pretty cheap. So yeah, maybe the game did sell pretty well in Japan. So
how cheap?
Well, we'll cover that at the end. But yeah.
Well, then why did you bring it up now?
Because the fact that if you want to get the game, you're better off importing it because the North American copies of the game are kind of expensive. But going to import from Japan is not that bad. So I'm trying to think about the best way to describe this game. I guess.
It's totally worth the price. Oh man.
It kind of reminds me of Tetris. The game kind of reminds me of Tetris. It's like a cross between like Tetris and like Puyo Puyo, or Tetris and Columns, with a little bit like Puzzle Fighter like mixed into it.
I don't know about Columns or Puyo Puyo, but Puzzle Fighter, yeah. Yeah, essentially. I know there's Puyo Puyo Tetris.
Oh yes, there is. I've not played it, but I've seen it. Yeah.
Which has been, I think, was released a couple of years ago or a year ago or something like that.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, it's on like Switch and PS4 and stuff like that.
Right. Yep. So this game, as Blue 2, has two main levels. There's first player and second player. There's also an option menu. Probably should mention now, even though the game's Japanese and there is a fair amount of Japanese text, it's not critical to understand to play it. You can muddle through it like pretty easily.
Yeah, the options screen is almost completely in English.
Thank God for that.
And if you use basic reasoning, you could figure out that the first two options are first player and second player because most of the characters are the same. They're different at the end. The end being the left side because they read from right to left.
Right.
So you could decipher that the first one is one player and the second option is two players.
Yep. Do you want to talk about the options? The option screen some here, George?
There's not too much, there's stuff like if you're playing two players, what would be the background? Most of those options are in Japanese, so we couldn't tell what we were setting, but the default is the second player's home place, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever it is.
There's stuff like background.
Right. There's stuff like game modes, which there's 3 different game modes. There's Battleless, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And then there's Tetris, and then there's what was the third one called? I forget. Do you remember?
I think it was just called 2-player.
No. It was Batless and then Tetris and then Ryaga or something.
Oh,
like that.
Yeah, that strange word. Right.
Yeah.
Recent, I think.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was recent.
They all play differently, which is nice. It adds replayability to the game.
So Tetris
there's also like handicap settings at the bottom. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yep, and you can also
you can change the starting speed and whatnot of
right,
players.
and you can also affect the difficulty of the AI. You're playing against the AI.
Right.
You can have it easy, normal, or hard.
That's gonna be the first thing you look for, and then you realize it's on easy, and then you realize that you're terrible at playing Tetris, or the AI is too overpowered. One of those two, or maybe both.
The AI is difficult and easy, but it's not super hard.
It's not impossible, but like they really screw you over with the power ups.
Yes,
even on easy.
Normal is a good challenge. Hard will kick your butt. Because they're hard, the AI just cheats like mad.
Yeah.
So the 3 modes, Tetris is just classic Tetris. No power ups, nothing like that. Just like we wanted to play one, just have some basic head-to-head Tetris, like of somebody.
Right, but also when you match, you get like a queue of how many rows that would pop up on the other side. So how the base game works is that you have to match. Right. It's Tetris.
Yeah.
So when you match, some pips in the middle of the screen will pop up, and depending on how many rows you've cleared, it'll go up in numbers. So if you cleared 1, it'll pop up 1. If you cleared 3, it'll pop up 3. But
other Tetris games, other Tetris games have it also. Like Game Boy Tetris had it.
I don't know. Is that what that 2-player mode was in Game Boy Tetris?
Yeah.
I never played it because I never had a link cable.
Really? Oh man, you missed out.
Yeah, I know. I never had a link cable. No, I had a link cable for the GBA. That's it. And then the DS was wireless. So.
A link cable came with the Game Boy, I thought, or at least some versions of the
I
Game
never
Boy
got
came
one.
with one.
Huh, I never got one. I didn't even know there was such a thing until years later, to be honest with you.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I alwaas wondered how you played 2-player Tetris on a Game Boy.
Because
when I was a kid.
Because the games that supported it said like right in the box, like the Game Link 2-player.
I was pretty young by the time this came out, so
okay, fair enough. Yep.
I literally was in like kindergarten. I'm still trying to figure out how I got through Pokemon when I was that young. But like, yeah, that's the other thing. Like the Pokemon Cable Club stuff, I never understood because again, I didn't understand that there was like a link cable, and I was like, how do you play against your friends? I don't understand. Also, silence your phone. I heard that, Greg.
Sorry, I thought I had.
Anyway, going back to my explanation of how this works. I guess it works like 2-player Tetris on Game Boy, apparently. But
and the
you match up rows. What's up?
Yeah. And the differences between the other 2 modes affect the power-ups.
Right, we could get into that in a second, but like just to finish up this basic explanation of that, when those pips are there, it's not an instant thing of the opponent getting the extra rows of tetrominoes or whatever they're called.
Yep, that's right.
What happens is it waits for the player to make a move, so the next block that lands, it'll do something. And what the player can do, actually, the opponent, I should say, if they're setting up these combos and they get these combos, they can actually like negate getting any or all of the fire from the first player, which is actually pretty cool. Sometimes you can even add on to it and send it back, and that gets really hectic for the other player. But yeah, there are 3 game modes in total. 2 of them include power-ups, and 1 of them does not. It's just normal Tetris, which is a cool thing to include.
Right.
But Batless and the other one that I don't remember the name of.
Ritsu, I think.
Something like that. Yeah. Sure. The one that starts with an R, I know that much. The power-ups are different, and the way that the game plays in general is actually different. So Batless actually plays like Tetris, but with power-ups, whereas the other game mode, when you match something, all the blocks that aren't power-up blocks will fall down, like there's gravity, which is really nice. It's very helpful. And there are times where Greg and I matched like 3 or 4 rows at once, and it was just chaos. So I think that's the best mode.
The combos you can pull off too, like we're doing that, are awesome. Like you managed to get like 10 lines at once.
If you get 10 lines at once, you're crazy.
I think I did that too once. Yeah, it's like
I don't know if it was 10. I know it was like something like maybe 5. You definitely got me there.
Yeah. So the power-ups are the main, one of the main gimmicks the gimmicks and features that this game has.
Right.
There are special orbs that show up every now and then in the pieces. The orbs take the place of a block, like in one of the game pieces. And if you clear a line that has an orb in it, you gain that orb on the side of your screen, and you can have 4 orbs at once. No,
you can have a lot more than that, I think.
Okay, but you can have.
I think.
I don't remember seeing more than 4 orbs at once, but you only do 4
Oh,
power-ups.
You know what it was? Because I think there was a time where you weren't using your powers, and I think that might be... I think the max you can hold goes up every time you use, or every time you go up to maximum, maybe?
I
because your
seeing,
maximum, because your maximum, the power-up you use when you have maximum orbs is very powerful, so... I think
depending
what happens
on the
maybe... Yes, depending on the character, but...
Yeah.
I think what maybe happens is that your maximum you can hold goes up every time you use maximum amount or something. Because there's 2 cursors. There's a yellow one, which shows... I actually don't know what shows.
Yeah.
And then there's a purple one, and I think the purple one's the max that you could hold currently. But that orb column goes all the way to the top of the screen, so I think you can at some point eventually just hold onto a bunch of orbs. I don't know why they would put that there if you couldn't.
Yeah, I only remember seeing 4 orbs at once, so it's possible
right,
they'd
but
be
you
able
also
to
didn't
store...
use your that was the round that you didn't get to use any power-ups.
Well, I meant also when I was playing the game like one player also. I never got more than,
I don't know what to tell you.
So,
I think I definitely see more than 4 orbs on my side, but I don't know.
So
this game is still a mystery because we don't know how it fully plays because it's all
not
Japanese.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of information out there information out there in this game, being an obscure Japanese game. I mean,
I doubt anyone has translated the manual.
There's 2 major articles out here on the game, and that's pretty much about it.
Yeah.
So I have some information on the power-ups here thanks to those guides, but I don't have a full list, unfortunately. Each character has... each character can do up to 4 power-ups. And there's 8 characters, and there's 8 characters to pick from the game, and there's also 2 hidden characters with like a total of 10. So, and the power-ups differ depending upon which character. The level 1 power-up always power-up always gives you a boost. The level 2, 3, and 4 always do something to impede or impact your opponents.
Right.
So here's some examples, like some power-ups. You have the bunny character for the bunny character for level 1 will stomp the 4 bottom lines like your side of the screen, like off the screen, which is very nice. So it pushes everything down to like 4 blocks.
I had to use that like 2 or 3 times in one round.
The tiki guy will push all the blocks to the side. That just kind of like it makes like an opening on the side of the screen on one side and kind of stacks everything up on the other side for you, which can be good.
I thought that was that like samurai guy or whatever.
It says here tiki, so
really? Okay.
the power up could be shared between characters.
Maybe.
There may be some crossover. Aladdin's level 3 power up is a particularly nasty one that will basically copy your screen to the opponent's screen. So whatever you have for your blocks, he suddenly gets.
I like the was it the level 3 or level 4 rabbit one where it just takes your screen and flips it upside down.
Oh yeah, that's
like
a nasty one.
It takes your blocks and flips it upside down, and it defies gravity, so it's great.
We didn't see this one. Pumpkinhead's level 2 will make the other player's screen pitch black.
Yes, I've had this happen to me playing one player, and it was very annoying, but it was still playable.
Right. You also get the pumpkins 4 power-ups, for example. is a level 1 will get rid of your bottom 3 lines. Level 2 will make the opponent's screen dark for 3 pieces. Level 3 will steal all the opponent's orbs that they have queued up. And level 4 will randomly blow up lines in your opponent's game area. Other power-ups, the other power-ups, and this one's particularly nasty, will randomly confuse the keyboard. The controllers on your side.
You were using a keyboard, that's why you said that.
Yeah. So, for example, left pushing left may cause the piece to flip right, or pushing down may cause the piece to go right. It's random each time, so it's very difficult to figure out.
Or you might accidentally hit pause while you're trying to play the game.
Other power-ups can take away your ability to push down to be at the piece. There's also one that locks your piece into the column, so you can't move it left or right. There's other ones also which will randomly change around the opponent's screen. So the blocks all end up totally different lines and configurations. That's like nasty one.
Yeah.
There's also what else is there? What else do we see? Trying to think about some of the other ones. There's also one that will there were a couple we couldn't figure out about what they did because they do something but we're not really sure what they did.
Yeah, that's a lot of this game is just I don't have the manual,
right?
And I can't read it anyway, and we can't read the power-ups listed under the character on the character selection. So it's kind of just let's play the game and see what happens, kind of.
Right.
And then sometimes we use the powers and we were just I still don't even know what it does.
Also, this is also a big change in the game. Something I don't remember other 2-player Tetris games having. The piece pool is shared. Where compared to Tetris games, where each of you have your own piece pool. And in this version, it's shared. So sometimes you want to purposely speed up or slow down playing a piece so you can get a piece that you need.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I did.
So having to look constantly at both the piece pool and also what you're doing, and how the power-ups being played on you, really adds for some difficult challenge and some
dirty playing right there.
Yes. But yeah, definitely. So that's a pretty interesting feature. Game mode's a best 2 out of 3. So pretty standard fighting game rules there.
You might be able to change that. I forgot.
I don't remember messing around with it. So, but
yeah, I never mess around with that either.
Yeah. So so those 2 hidden characters are called King and Queen. They're bosses. If you get far enough in the story mode 1-player game, we beat I think you were into the first boss after defeating the first 4 characters, and then you're into the second boss after beating all 8 characters. That's how that works. And once you beat them, then you can play as them.
That's something I'd never be able to do.
Yeah, there's also cheat code that you can also put in to play them right away. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
You can use
so I could get my butt kicked in style. All right.
You can use that. Yeah, you can use that cheat code in either 1-player or 2-player modes. So, yeah, the power-ups differ from character to character. So there's and some power-ups definitely more useful than others. So it definitely encourages you to experiment to play the game with different characters to see what they can do.
Yeah, it's a lot of what do you call it? Jeez, right. I forgot what it's called now.
All right.
it's a lot of trial and error.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there's also the one that caused the there's also the power up. I played this one to you several times. It kind of petrifies your opponent's game screen, makes everything like one color, so you can't really tell what everything is.
No, what it does is it literally makes it like stone. And
yeah,
I don't think you can match. I don't think you can match rows to clear it.
Right, you can't. Yeah.
You totally screwed me over with that because like mine was almost filled at the top and then you did it to me twice. And it's just like, there's nothing I can do about this now. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so... matches are fairly quick depending upon the skill of two players. I'd say typical match is maybe like 5 minutes. So
yeah, something like that.
Not a particularly like long, game to play. So, the power-ups really add a lot of fun challenge to the game because.
Well, this is what really makes the game, to be honest. If it was just Tetris, I don't think it would be as fun.
Well, the reading reviews, the reviews of this game online. The game has very mixed reviews, and when it comes and pretty much what it comes down to is that classic Tetris players hate it because of the power-ups, whereas people who don't like classic Tetris, and there are some people out there who are not really like fans of Tetris, love the game because of the power-ups.
But this is like a party game.
Like a big good party game, yeah. I mean, like I said before, this game really shines two-player. Because I think that one player mode is really only here to get used to the game, like for a challenge. Two player mode, like is where the game shines. I mean, the developers clearly meant for you to spend most of your game time playing 2-player. So, but the option to play classic Tetris in here, as well as the power modes, is very nice. So I do appreciate the fact it's here.
Yeah. Tetris. It's a Tetris game.
So the graphics are pretty basic. Tetris game. Like you really need you really need like great graphics for Tetris. But I will say, however, that the background, the backgrounds like for each of the characters is very nicely detailed.
Yes, it's very nice. The backgrounds. Nicely detailed. The music is pretty good.
The music's very good. Yep. Both the music theme and the background are themed to match the character. For example, the samurai guy will have like a Japanese samurai background picture and a very Japanese sounding piece.
There are some backgrounds and music I didn't really like, but it wasn't like most of it. It was just like a couple or something like that.
Right. Yep. So, yeah. I mean, like I said before, there's a fair amount of Japanese in the game, so you understand the story, and you have to mess around with it a little bit to figure out some of the options. But enough of the game here. Enough of the games here is here in English. That's not really it's not really like a deal breaker. Like I said before, thank God the option screen's in English. Also the ready goes in English, which I find like very funny.
I mean, it's a Japanese thing. I don't know, but like there are so many places or video games or whatever. I see go in English like everywhere in a lot of Japanese games. So I don't know if they don't have a word for that or if it's like a tradition or something. I don't know. I don't know too much about Japanese culture, but I know some stuff, at least from video
I think it's probably
games.
The game. Yeah. I think it's kind of tradition because starts very often in English also in Japanese games. So I think it's like certain words they just had early on just to leave in English, like whatever reason.
There are terms that they don't. Apparently, there are terms in Japanese that they don't have, so they use like English terms sometimes. I've seen.
They also sometimes will use like this game has it, like one player and 2-player like we depicted as like 1P and 2P like in English. So, but
hey, you clean that up. I just got this floor cleaned, okay? 2P or not 2P? That is the question. Don't do it.
Yeah.
You don't do it at home. Don't do it here.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So So yeah, the combination about the power-ups like in the shared piece pool, like really make for like a very interesting, challenging Tetris game. I mean, like, I played other Tetris 2-player modes in the past, and they've been like very good, but I think the combination of all this stuff really makes this game shine out. I think this game is definitely worth playing if you enjoy 2-player Tetris, because I think again the combination of that stuff really makes it like a very fun, challenging game.
Yes.
Yeah, and the AI also, even though the game's not really designed to play in one-player mode, the AI is also very, very challenging in one-player mode. So if you're
challenging, it's very difficult even on easy. Maybe I'm just really bad at the game, though.
So if you're a Tetris player, I definitely could see you having a challenge with that. So I definitely recommend anybody who's really good at like Tetris to check out this game as well.
Anyone who's not a Tetris purist.
Like I said before, that's pretty much what the reviews like boil down to. I mean,
I know, right?
Yeah, I mean, people who don't care much for classic Tetris like love this game, and it's like you feel like vice versa.
I like both.
Yeah,
I like both.
I do also. It's strange, but I mean, it's like, why can't we get along, kind of like thing. But
because people want to be purists out there. I don't know what their problem is. This is a Tetris. You use power ups. What's that? It's a thing called game design, and it's designed well. Stop crying about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the game is called Battle Gaiden, so kind of like
yes.
So kind of implies right there what you're in store for. So
you're in store for battles, and you're in store for Gaidens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, a lot of people mentioned online talking about this game, that that they were able to get some friends to play this game with them who never like cared much for Tetris, because as we mentioned before, this game imparts a good deal of luck into the game as well, and that's something else I think the purists have a problem with, because it's like classic Tetris is about maybe 80% strategy and 20% luck, where this game is like half and half because of the power-ups and the shared pool. I know, for example, you screwed me over several times because of the fact that I had some very bad timing with power-ups with power-ups pieces. So,
sure, let's call it that, Greg.
So yeah, luck definitely plays a big part of this version of the game. So people who are not good at Tetris can definitely have some fun with this game because of that. I think it kind of evens the playing field, so to say.
Yeah, I think so. It'd be interesting to see a professional Tetris player play against somebody who's more versed in party games or something.
Because you yourself admitted, George, that you're not a great Tetris player. I'm probably a little bit better at you than the base game.
I'm terrible at Tetris.
But yet, in the 4 games you played, you won half of them. So.
Did I?
Yes.
I thought I might have lost more, but okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that just goes to show how much luck and strategy comes into this game as well. Besides like classic Tetris playing. So, but yeah, definitely recommend it for people who are not very good or who are. Are there any newbies for Tetris anymore in this game? Because
that's a very
Tetris,
good
right?
question. I think even newborns are well versed in Tetris at this point.
Yeah,
they probably found a way to send video games up to the baby that's not even born yet.
Considering how the game's playable and everything right up to like an oven, so I think like everybody.
Actually, it might be playable on those new ovens that Samsung created.
There actually was a microwave in Japan several years ago that actually had Tetris available on it. I kid you not.
Makes sense. I mean, they have those smart refrigerators. I'm sure that has some kind of Tetris app or something you can get. Actually, I think those might be running Android or something. So you could definitely load a Tetris app on that. And then I think Samsung's making smart ovens too, where you could do stuff like that. I think.
And there was also
at some point people are going to be playing Tetris in their self-driving cars,
Well, I was going to say, also, because the Japanese are Japanese, did you hear about the...
Really? You're telling me the Japanese are Japanese?
Did you hear about the... So, did you hear about the line of bathroom games that Sega made several years ago? Where you actually pee to play the game?
Yeah, I know about that. Those urinals, yeah.
Yeah, well, one of the games was a Tetris knockoff.
Oh boy, what was the name?
I don't know. You would ask me that.
Tetris.
Yeah, there was a racing game available also, and like a Pac-Man clone like game. So
yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's pretty much.
This ain't your granddaddy's Tetris.
No, it's not. And what's surprising, surprising how old is how old this game is, because it feels because in many ways this feels like a modern Tetris game.
It almost feels like an indie game that somebody made like for a month or something.
Yeah,
and then
there probably has been
for like $10 or something.
There probably has been like an indie version of Tetris which incorporates these game modes.
I know there's a game that's called Not Tetris where it actually takes into consideration gravity, and it's very hard to play.
Oh wow, yeah, that would be a challenge.
Yeah, like real physics on Tetris is crazy.
Yeah,
you should try playing it. It's pretty interesting.
I'll have to check it out. Yeah, so, anyway, I'm not really sure what else to say more about this game.
It's cool and it's fun, and you should play it.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Yep. Highly recommend it. So
yeah, grab a friend and play it.
So if you want a physical copy, if you want a physical copy of the game, as I said, most of the games available on eBay are overseas, which is not that bad. I mean, the shipping costs are not crazy as long as you're willing to wait for the slow boat. The slow boat from Japan option, but
that's actually like I would honestly say it's worth it because it's actually pretty cheap to get it that way. It might take like a week or something like that, but
the price
best bang for your buck because it's very cheap to do it that way.
The price of the game are not that bad actually. There's only two copies available currently in North America, and 2 copies recently sold from North America. They've expanded the market to overseas, i.e. Japan market. There were 11 copies of the game currently listed for sale. 37 copies are recently sold. So
there are a lot of Japanese sellers who are very willing to sell to North American.
Oh yes,
customers. So
these are listings.
I would know, considering that I've actually bought a bunch of Japanese stuff before.
These are all listings from sellers who are willing to ship worldwide. I probably just said that. But,
also, I don't even know if you know, but Amazon Japan actually tries to cater to North American audiences. Believe it or not.
Oh, that's still a thing? Huh?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was still around.
I actually bought some stuff from Amazon Japan a while ago.
Cool. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, the 2 versions of the game that sold recently in North America were card only, and those prices, including shipping, were $5 and $13.50. So, not that bad. The card only overseas prices are around the $10-$20 range. They're a little bit more expensive. Expensive because prices include shipping. CIB copies overseas, like most CIB versions of games, vary quite a lot. I saw examples sell for as low as $12.50. I also saw examples sell for as high as $45.
Wow.
So yeah, $5 card only. That's a steal. As long as you have a system that can play a Famicom cart.
You could play this even on a North American SNES.
Yes. As long as you cut out the tabs.
Yeah, it's one of those weird workarounds. Thank God it's not one of those region lock things where it's in the software or whatever.
Most of the modern clone systems can also play the game like very easily also, like the Redcon, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Or what you could do is the Super Famicom has this weird plate thing. And you could just take that plate off and you won't break anything compared to a North American SNES.
Oh, speaking about that, real quick, I did want to mention this somewhere in the podcast because I saw this recently on Amazon. Amazon thought it was pretty cool, talking about Super NES systems. There's now available a limited edition Nintendo DS skinned as a Super NES. It's very cool looking.
Oh, for the 3DS. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, very nice looking system.
It is, yes.
So, anyway, like you said, George, it's a shame this game didn't come out to North America because we have games like that. because we have games like this now that are similar to this, that do the same things, but I think this game should get kudos like for doing it first, like to my knowledge. I think this is the first game to have all these things available in the game. I mean, the game's name is appropriate because Battle Gaiden because this has some like fighting game elements to it. I think because the different characters and the power-ups and that kind of stuff. So it's really a shame this game was like Japan only.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy to emulate now, so
Yep. That's
you don't have to worry about any of that. It's easily accessible for us in North America if you want to buy it. So you have 2 routes really. So it's not really hard. It's not like the 90s anymore where it's hard to get stuff from Japan. You know.
Yeah, thank God.
And it's
for
also
that.
it's also very easy to find games from Japan that you might actually like. It depends on a lot of things though, but we also have people who are doing ROM translations.
Yes.
One of the bigger projects was actually finished recently. Shin Megami Tensei If. That's a big game, and they finally finished the translation of that, which is really nice.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think this game really needs a translated ROM. I mean, there may be one out there somewhere.
No, I don't think there is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not necessary to know Japanese really. There's nothing critical.
Yep, for sure.
Which is nice. Actually, there's definitely a bunch of like YouTubers and stuff, but I'm sure there are websites that actually will list off good games that aren't language critical. So like there are a lot of like stuff like shooters and whatnot on lists like that, but you'll probably see this game on a list like that where you could pick up and play and language isn't critical.
Right. Yep. So yeah, I really encourage anybody who enjoys Tetris. Because of the changes, I really encourage anybody who's not really a big Tetris fan.
Anybody who likes SNES games that are good, try this game.
Yeah. Okay, that's one way to put it.
Yes.
So, all right.
If you like bad games, I don't know what's wrong with you, but don't play this then.
Yeah. This is a very good pick from George. I'm not sure I heard about this game, but I'm kind of glad he brought it to us.
Yeah, it was. It's kind of. It used to be kind of well featured on Giant Bomb, and I am a fan of Giant Bomb. So.
Yeah. One of the 2 articles I found in this game was one on Giant Bomb. So,
yes.
Yep. So they're one of the only people. So they're one of the places that actually have talked about this game.
Yeah, and then I think that got like replaced with like Puyo Puyo Tetris. So that's another one that they really enjoy over there.
I've not played that game, but I've heard it's very good.
I do want it, but I think it's kind of. I think it came out at like $40 or something. It's like that's kind of. I feel like that's kind of expensive.
That is,
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's on Switch though. That's like the best place to put it.
Right.
You play that on the go. I want to get that at some point. It's like Puyo Puyo, but with Tetris in it. It's like Tetris, but with Puyo Puyo in it. If you don't know what Puyo Puyo is, it is literally Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
That was a good game.
Yeah, they took Puyo Puyo and they like localized it and changed everything to be like Sonic themed.
Yep. Yeah.
But the core gameplay is exactly the same.
Yeah. Well, they also did that with another game we covered in the podcast, way back when. Pack Attack, that Pac-Man Tetris game.
Oh, I thought you were gonna bring up Combat Street.
Oh God, no!
Because that was a game that was the same as the Japanese version, but all they did was change everything else essentially. Because
that game came out in Japan as a Tetris style game, and then for the North American release, they skinned it to be Pac-Man. So
right.
Yeah. So, but there's there's numerous ways to play Tetris. Thank God. So, and this is and this is definitely one of the good ones. But anyway,
I gotta go play Tetris on my dog now. So the Tetris in my shower's calling me, so I gotta
we'd like to thank you for tuning into this Tetris-filled episode.
I'd like to call it a Tetris party.
Yeah, that's a good one. But
is that a game? I feel like that's a title of a Tetris game, Tetris Party.
It probably is. I don't have the list handy, but it probably is.
It's time for Tetris Party.
There's a lot of like strange Tetris games out there. So, but anyway, thank you again as always for listening to the podcast. We really appreciate it. If you'd like to support us, we have a Patreon, which can be found at www.patreon.com/the SNES podcast. I'd like to thank both Chad and Richard at this point for supporting us on there. We also have a Facebook page where you can give us suggestions, comments, feedback, that kind of stuff. And if you want to email me directly, if you want to, you can use the email of the SNES podcast at yahoo.com. George, where can people find you at?
Oh boy, you can find me here on the internet. I'm here. I'll inject myself into your computer. You can see me everywhere. That's not true. That would be weird. I would not do that. I would not spread a plague of myself on your computer. But if you want that plague, you can find me on Twitter at Mr. Chief. That is at MISTURCHEEF. I'm trying to think of what I recently talked about on Twitter, and I can't remember. It's probably me complaining about something or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that's about it for me. We both do other podcasts though. You and I do PlayStation Power, where we cover PlayStation 2, and PSP games. And then I do Master System Masterpieces, where we cover Master System games. And there might be another secret podcast popping up that I'll be doing, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, more details at 9, at 11. I don't know. This is Channel 2 News out.
You may have been subconsciously influenced by having seen this, George. But there seriously is a Tetris Party game.
Wait, is there really?
Tetris Party came out for the Wii in 2008.
Not surprised.
There's also a sequel to it, Tetris Party Deluxe, which came out for the Wii and the DS in 2010.
I see that. This is a good game.
So
Metacritic is 72%. I don't know.
There are a lot of Tetris. Yeah. As one may guess, there are a lot of Tetris games out there. There's Tetris 2, Tetris and Dr. Mario, Super Tetris 3, Tetris Blast, Tetris Attack, Tetris Plus, Tetris DX, Tetris 64, Tetris the Grandmaster, Kids Tetris, the new Tetris, the next Tetris, Tetris Worlds, Tetris Battle,
DS, Tetris Axis, Tetris Splash, Tetris Worlds, Tetris DX.
Stars,
I think you said some of these already.
Tetris Blitz,
Tetris. No, that's not one. Could you imagine? What would Tetris be? Every time you try to clear a row, you have to play Tetris in that to clear a row. You have to clear like 5 rows or something to clear a row in actual Tetris. That'd be terrible.
There's also Tetris Battle Fusion, which is available for your Amazon Fire, like your Ouya.
Let's not talk about that second thing. Never bring that up again.
Tetris Ultimate, Tetris Effect, and there's also and finally, definitely last but not least, Tetris Evolution for the Xbox 360.
Did you say Tetris Plus? Because that one's...
I did say it.
Okay, that one's necessary to bring up because that is a very good Tetris as well.
There's also a Pokemon Tetris game, which I wasn't aware of.
Oh, yeah.
So, cool.
It's like Tetris Pokemon or something.
Also, just to close out the podcast real quick, like an obscure game recommendation. The same guy who designed Tetris, Alexandri Pajanov, I believe how you pronounce this game. He came out with a sequel called Weltris several years later, which is very, very good. That game's available on PC and PC. It's just like classic computers. I definitely recommend checking it out because they added some different twists to it. And it's one of only 3 Tetris games that the actual original designer made. He designed Tetris, Tetris, and also a game called Tetris, which came out for the NES and Game Boy.
Oh, jeez, Tetris.
Yeah,
Yes.
Tetris is fun. Yep,
It's
that's a good
weird.
game.
Tetris Party Deluxe for the Wii is selling for $45 on Amazon.
Whoa. Yeah, maybe they gave it a small print run.
I don't know.
But anyway, we're going from one classic game to another classic game next time. Based upon several listener suggestions this game that we covered. So I figure it's time. We're going to be covering the Super NES port of one of the most popular and beloved classic PC games of all time.
Tetris.
Well, we've already covered 3 Tetris games for the podcast, I think, over the history. Maybe it's 2.
I don't even know.
But no, we're covering Out of This World, which is also known as Another World, depending upon which area like the world you live in.
Also known as not Tetris.
Yes.
I found a Tetris suit online for $50.
The Super NES version of this game is the first version of this game I played. So I definitely have some history and nostalgia of the version of the game, and it's very impressive how well they pulled it off. So we will get into that in our next podcast. Also, finally, just to give a heads up, we're taking a break for a few weeks next month for the holidays. I will be gone for some of that time, so that's the main reason, for the break. We will be doing George and I need to hammer out the details still, but I think our last regular episode is going to be on the 1st of December, and we're going to do some kind of special, on December 8th. We're not really sure about that yet. Detail is forthcoming. After that, the podcast will return to you on January 5th.
Something like that.
Yep. Those are the recording dates. The actual podcast release dates are a week after that. So, just to confuse matters.
Yeah. I mean, we'll bring this up again, right? Because we have another. Yeah.
Yeah, we will.
We've got some time. Yeah.
Just give me a heads up. But we have some special episodes planned for you guys on the start of the for the start of the year. So stay tuned. So anyway, that's a wrap, and I have a hankering to go watch the Captain N episode that actually featured Tetris. That was a good episode.
I'm gonna not buy this expensive Tetris game on Wii, and maybe I'll emulate it. I don't know.
Yes. So, goodbye, everybody. Thank you for thank you as always listening, and take care.
My favorite block is the one that doesn't screw you over, which is just a straight line.
The vertical, yes.
Yep. That one's always loyal to you.
Usually.
Always, man. Always.
Take care, all.
Bye.
Nintendo controls 80% of the video market. But no matter how you play the game, or which game you play, things definitely have come a long way since Pac-Man. Now you're playing with power. Super power.